One love, God bless. It's Fire Nelson here, and I came to talk to you about why I personally became a vegetarian. Now, when I got into this process of becoming a vegetarian, it wasn't a real conscious thing that I thought that I was going to do. No, more of I was already building my spiritual, strength, and the more and more I learned, the more I kept on coming across the research of how food affects the way you think. Now, a lot of people don't really correlate the two, but what we digest and ingest really matters. And it's more than a deeper level than just, how cows and cow feces pollute the atmosphere, or, it's more than just, I want to save the animals, which are all great reasons to become a vegetarian. But another big reason why I became a vegetarian was because I realized how much toxins our food has in it. And it's something that I never really thought about. It sounds crazy to me now that I never really thought about it, but most people live that way. And so there's no shame in it. But once you know better, you should do better, right? So I became a vegetarian after I started learning about the toxins in the food. So just think about one of the biggest things, even such as chicken. There's a chicken shop on every corner. You can get chicken from almost every restaurant. Chicken is a common staple in the American diet and diets around the world. But what we very rarely think about is how these chickens are processed and how these chickens are raised and what goes into bringing up a chicken. It might say, farm fresh or free range, but the free range is not so free when there's 200, 300 other chickens in that free range. So whatever disease that one chicken gets, it gets passed around very easily. And once you start thinking about stuff like that, then you start thinking more even on a micro level of what they're consuming and what they're being fed. And you realize if they're not being fed organic, healing foods, and they're only getting fed grains with a bunch of pesticides and hormones and antibiotics that are just made for chickens, if they're being fed this stuff in their grains, in their feed, then it's also getting fed to you. And the same with the cows, same with the fish. It's very rarely you can find fresh fish unless you are by the coast. And even then, is it really that fresh? Is our waters really that fresh? No, they're heavily polluted with different contaminants. So even the fish that we eat isn't as fresh as they try to make it out to be. Most fish actually is farmed fish. It's very hard to find fish that even says wild. And even some of the fish that says wild caught, if you look in small print, it says farmed. So most of our food when it comes to meat is contaminated. Yeah, I don't mean to scare anybody, but it's just the facts that they don't want to say. And we also have very, very poor feces control. So these animals are constantly defecating, right where they're eating, right where they're sleeping, right where they're walking. And all of this feces is getting drained into usually a huge pond that's right near the farm. And usually that farm will be growing other produce or have other animals as well, ingesting and inhaling these toxins that the feces create. And even some places go to the extent of spraying their fields with this feces water to try to get rid of some of it and try to reuse some of it. It's a terrible, terrible process. Terrible process. So once I learned about that, it really was kind of an easy decision to get off meat, you know? That pretty much everything is toxic. And another thing that you may not know, but pretty much all pork, unless it's severely, severely cooked and burnt, contains a worm that you cannot cook out of it. And this worm is a parasite for your stomach. While it might not make you sick, like in the ways where you're throwing up or you actually feel sick right after eating it, it is infecting your body with parasites. And our body already has a big enough job to fight off many, many parasites and airborne diseases and cancers. It's already doing that constantly. Your body is constantly healing and fighting stuff off. So we don't need to add more burden to the body's already heavy load, you know? So it really made me want to at least try to get off meat. And then after about 30 days of doing that, it was really easy for me to realize I don't need this stuff, you know? I cleared out the cabinets, I cleared out the refrigerator of anything that was non-healing food. And once I finally cleared everything out the cabinets in the refrigerator and went grocery shopping for some more healing foods, then I realized, oh, as long as I don't buy this stuff, it's way easier to stay away from it. So it's just about really getting over that first initial mental hurdle that we need this meat and it's in the fridge. We see the eggs, we see the chicken in there. We don't want it to go to waste, so we're gonna cook it. And it's just a constant cycle. You know, you're making excuses that this person in the house eats meat, so you have to eat it. But no, you just give yourself a break. Don't look at it. Don't buy it. If they want to buy it, it's fine, but you don't buy it. And it's a much easier process to be vegetarian or vegan. Another reason why I became a vegetarian was because I learned about how eating meat and eating these tortured and horribly butchered animals also affects our own mental processing. So a lot of boxers, before a match, they'll eat a lot of red meat, you know? Eat a lot of red meat to try to almost harness those animal instincts. It's a known thing that boxers do and fighters do. And eating meat, especially red meat, does is it gives you an aggression. And at first it sounded crazy to me, like eating meat makes you aggressive, but it actually does. Eating these red meats brings more aggression, brings more trauma that you're digesting into your own body. It's wild. And it's extremely wild that we're being fed this and we're being told about this food pyramid that we need to consume in our lives and this and that, when it's really not true. There's tons and tons of ways to get protein without eating meat. And that's the biggest factor that I hear is, where are you gonna get your protein? Where are you gonna get your protein? Well, just do a simple Google search and you will see that lentils, you will see that there's tons of ways to get protein. There's tofu, there's tons and tons of ways to get protein. I don't need to list it all off. Just do a simple Google search and you can see there's tons of ways to get natural occurring protein and foods that aren't meat. So once you cut out the red meat, you'll start to see that your aggression levels start lowering down. And that's very, very good for people who get angry or stressed out a lot, you know? Then I also learned about how eating these healing foods like vegetables and fruits and just plant-based foods really helps you open your pineal gland and be able to be more in touch with the divine source. So whether that's God, that's Allah, Buddha, whatever you want to call it, it helps you get more in touch with the divine source because you're eating these foods that aren't blocking anything. Because lots of meat has fats and stuff like that that clogs and blocks your arteries and your different parts of your body, and that's why you gain so much weight here and there, or you sweat a lot, or when you do sweat it smells terrible, when you do defecate it smells terrible, and your skin breaks out terribly and you got eczema all the time, stuff like that. That's from the dairy and the chicken. It's from the fats and the mucus that comes from that stuff, you know? Dairy and chicken is very, very high in fats and mucusy things. I don't even know how else to describe it other than mucus. So you wake up and you have to go, I don't even know how to do it because I don't do it, but you wake up and you have to clear your throat and clear your nose. It's because of the meats you're eating. It's because your body is trying to break down all these things, and it's having a hard time. And also these meats are very hard to digest, so they might stay in your stomach for not only months but years. And I don't know if you've ever smelt decaying meat, like chicken that's just rotten, but it smells terrible, and it's terrible for you to eat. So if that stuff is sitting in your stomach for months and sometimes years, imagine how terrible that is for your inside. Like, really think about it. And all the parasites that are growing inside you, the maggots, all type of terrible things that they don't want to tell you, because if they told you these things, they wouldn't be able to make the profit that they are off the meat industry. So cutting meat out will cut out so many parasites in your body that cause these cancers, that cause obesity, that cause mental illness, that causes your babies to get passed on mental illnesses and diseases. And it will help you in the long run in more ways than you could ever imagine. And also, when you think about it, some of the largest animals in the animal kingdom, from cows to giraffes to elephants to rhinos, on and on, are plant-based. And these are animals that live a long time. Turtles, plant-based animals. You know? These are animals that live a very, very, very long time. And they live to be huge, massive. So it's not like you're not gonna be able to gain weight just because you're plant-based, but you just might have to eat a little bit more. And that's fine, because another benefit from eating plant-based is, one, it's not such a heavy burden on you, but you can eat more. So you can enjoy the food more. You can eat a big meal, wait an hour or two, and be ready to eat a little something else, you know? And I personally love that, because I love the taste of foods. I love being able to snack on some peanuts and almonds and, you know, berries and watermelon and have a smoothie. Yes, sometimes it might take a little more effort than just putting something in the microwave or going down to the store and get some chicken burritos or something. But it is worth it in the long run. You feel better. After you eat, you don't get the bubble guts and the heartburn and the chest pains, and you know, you don't get all sleepy and fall into a food coma like you do when you eat Chinese food and stuff. it's just a better overall feeling. And that was a big thing for me, being able to tell the difference between when I ate meat or when I went out to eat in comparison to when I cook at home with healing foods, is that I just didn't feel so heavy. I didn't feel so tired. My stomach wasn't all gurgling, and sometimes you can actually hear yourself digesting. And that's your body having a hard time breaking down food that it wasn't supposed to be consuming. Even in the Bible, it says that we're not supposed to be eating meat all the time. Like maybe for special occasions or on Sundays, just every once in a while, maybe. But originally, the plan was for us to be plant-based, that all fruit-bearing trees and herbs are for our consumption. So when I started realizing and researching and finding out more and more information on this, I realized, wow, lots and lots of research is out there that says plant-based is a best way to go. The only other reason why someone would not be plant-based, would not be vegetarian or vegan, is only selfish reasons, because of taste, or because you haven't done research on protein. You're not getting any sufficient nutrients from the meat, trust me. Everything that you need, you can get from plants. Now, granted, America especially has demolished and destroyed the soil to an extreme extent that we have to consume even more fruits and vegetables than we usually would have had to in the past. But that is just something that I'm okay with living with, and hopefully you are as well. Make more smoothies to really get all those extra, supplements and nutrients that you need. I highly recommend making more smoothies. Maybe finding an organic sea moss to put in your smoothies as well will help you get all the nutrients that you need. Sea moss has, I think, about 90% of all nutrients that a human needs in their body. So do your research and you will see more and more evidence that being vegetarian and eating healing foods of fruits and veggies and lentils and brown rice and things of this nature are going to be more beneficial for you. You're going to think clearer, you're going to be calmer, you're going to be able to do more actively, and you're going to live longer. So you'll be able to be there for your children, your family, your loved ones, your friends. You're just going to be able to be more there, more present, more sharp, less depression, less anxiety, less anger. Who could ask for anything better? And this is all just with a vegetarian diet. You don't even have to be vegan. So those are only a few benefits that I've been able to appreciate from becoming a vegetarian. And I really, really hope that you take the time to do the research and try it out yourself, because it's beautiful. It's like, what tastes better than a fresh fruit or a yummy smoothie? Like, who doesn't want multiple smoothies a day? Like, I don't know if you've ever had a smoothie or not. Hopefully you have, but it's very, very tasty. And there's lots of alternatives to stuff that kind of tastes like meat, like mushrooms seasoned up. You can put sauce on them. I plan on making a jerk mushroom. And there's just so much different combinations that you can do. It's not so limited as you think. You just have to open your mind, you know, and be receptive to the information that you find. Because the only reason that you wouldn't switch and become a plant-based person, which is what you're meant to be, is if you're just ignoring the facts, ignoring the research, and you just, you know, as sad as it is, are being lazy and not really caring about the environment. Every single person becoming vegetarian is helping the entire world. It's not just helping you, it's helping the entire world become a better place. So do your research. I told you a few things that I've learned. There's a much more that I could have shared, but I want to keep the video kind of short and let you do your own research. But trust me, there's many beneficial aspects of becoming plant-based, vegetarian, and nowadays there's tons and tons of alternatives to meats and pizzas and all type of things that taste just the same pretty much, but are just made with plants. So I really appreciate you watching this video. Please like, share, and subscribe. And good luck on your journey. And please be vegetarian or vegan, because it's helping not only you, but the entire world become a better place. One love. God bless.